Welcome back to Civil Discourse Now. I'm Mark Small.
And I'm Paul Ogden.
And we are streaming live today from the Indy Cigar Bar at 3357 East 86th Street, north side of Indianapolis. Our guests are Abdul, who's an attorney and political commentator, and Lindsay Grace from Smoke Free Indy. I got that wrong.
What are their websites? What are your websites?
IndyPolitics.org and IndianaBarrister.com.
SmokeFreeIndy.com.
We're talking right now about this show is about we're shooting on April 28th, 2012. Recently, the City-County Council here in Indianapolis enacted a new ordinance on smoking establishments. It's sharply restrictive establishments in which people can smoke. The biggest impact has been on bars. And we were just talking about secondhand smoke and studies concerning effects on people of secondhand smoke.
I want to stop here and bring in a personal perspective of where it come from. I've never smoked. I've never even had a cigarette touch. I smoked a cigar just a couple times to the birth of a friend's child. And my father passed away from smoking. So he was a smoker, passed away when I was 14 years old. So that's the perspective I come from. I know you smoke cigars, correct?
I smoke cigars. I smoked cigarettes from second semester of my senior year of high school to second semester of sophomore year of college. Quit, then I sat for the bar exam, started smoking.
I'm surprised it was only tobacco.
Then I quit smoking cigarettes in 1995, and I had my first premium cigar in 1996, and I've smoked cigars ever since.
Never smoked cigarettes. I think they're gross, disgusting. I've always been a cigar smoker. The first time I ever had a cigar was my first job out of college. It was a company Christmas party. Bloomington, Illinois, Bloomington Country Club. The general manager came in. Abdul, you did a great job. We're happy to have you here. Have a cigar. Wow, thank you, Mr. Johnson. I'm not quite sure what to do with this. And so, this older gentleman here, let me show you. Yeah, exactly. Wow, this is really awesome. And since then, cigars have been my vice of choice. Now, every time I go to the dentist, we always check. Doc, how's it looking? Any signs? Nope. Keep doing what you're doing. Like, unless you were Fidel Castro, you will be fine.
And a lot of baseball players, I was playing baseball growing up, a lot of them chewed tobacco in high school. So that's obviously leads to problems.
Abdul, when I met Abdul, I was his intern. Abdul knew me as a smoker. I smoked from 13 to 23. I'm 28 now, so it's been almost 5 years since I haven't used any tobacco product. And I lived in Texas, so I used the dip and things like that. But my parents always, I knew that it was bad. I raised in a family that did not use tobacco products, and I was grounded half my teenage life for using such tobacco products. But yeah, I haven't smoked since, and I fired from my job at the Lung Association if I did use some tobacco products now.
I just briefly, when I was hired as a law clerk and I got my first paycheck, I wasn't a regular smoker at that. I'm not smoking cigarettes, I guess. It was around bar exam time. No, before that. Anyways, I got my first paycheck as a law clerk, cashed it downtown, bought a steak dinner, and then I bought a cigar at Hardwick's. And I was living in a dorm at IUPUI, and I remember strolling insouciantly back to the campus smoking the cigar. And
how do you stroll insouciantly?
In a very slow, methodical, relaxed way.
We call it pimping in my old neighborhood.
I first heard that adverb used by Tennessee Williams, so I don't know that that's a good indication. We were talking about studies before we broke at that last segment. The World Health Organization did a study on secondhand smoke. They disregarded 30 studies that they did not want to consider, one of which studied the effects of secondhand smoke in Britain in households and showed that the effects were negative. It was counter to what they had wanted to find or what they were looking to find, and so they disregarded that study. The Helena study, which was promoted by Ohio State, they set up that study saying, well, this is what we're going to establish, that there are harms to secondhand smoke. And so a lot of the studies have come about because there was an objective. The objective was to establish that there were harms from secondhand smoke. I'm not saying it's great that people should be around other people who smoke, but I think that there's a difference between, saying that a person will die from secondhand smoke, which you're trying to tell me the CDC stuff. If the CDC stuff is just using studies that were faulty in terms of methodology to begin with, I don't think that's...
We're talking about two main studies, and even the EPA has come back, the 1993 study that you referenced, and I'm on the EPA's website now. They even say, because they reference the study, because it has been a topic of concern amongst very, very few people that actually bring it up, but they say the evidence is clear and consistent. Secondhand smoke is a cause of lung cancer in adults who don't smoke. The EPA has never claimed that minimal exposure to secondhand smoke poses a huge individual cancer risk. But they do say that classification of secondhand smoke is a known human group A carcinogen, which means it will cause cancer. So the EPA has never said that secondhand smoke is not harmful, and neither has the World Health Organization.
But wait a second. There are various substances of which one you say, well, we're not saying it's not harmful, and jump into the conclusion that exposure to a substance secondhand means necessarily it's harmful to people's health to such a degree that we should not allow establishments that specifically allow that within that building. And I don't see why it is, especially with the economic consequences to communities that the smoking bans impose. I was in Madison, Indiana, Paul's hometown, for a court proceeding. I was staying in a hotel across the street from a bar that had the National Trivia Network on it, and I'm a geek, so I play trivia. I went across the street to have a beer and to play trivia, and the place was deserted. The only person there was the owner, bartender, and a cook. And I said, where is everybody? This is like 4:30 in the afternoon. And the owner said that they just put a smoking ban in, and we've lost 75% of our business. Bars are sharply hit when smoking bans go through.
But actually doesn't have one.
Madison, Indiana had just had a ban put in at that time.
Jefferson County.
Yes.
Not in bodies that haven't, no.
Well, then...
They might have done it on their own.
No, it was imposed. I'm telling you what the person who owned the bar was.
See, but I think the bigger, more global issue is, once again, it should be who makes this decision. I will not doubt that long-term exposure to secondhand smoke probably not good for you. But granted, we're also 5-6 billion people on this planet, so guess what? There probably some of us are just genetically engineered. You be around secondhand smoke all day, and you walk away and live just fine. George Burns lived, what, 102? They always ask somebody, your doctor say about you smoking cigars, and they don't say a damn thing because they're all dead. Now, is he, the norm? Probably not. For me, the bigger issue is who is best to determine how this issue should be addressed. Is it the government or is it the free market? I will argue and maintain to my dying day, which alcohol here maybe a little bit sooner than you all think, is that individuals are much more capable of making this decision than the government. Whether it's a bar, whether it's a tavern, whether it's a private club. And my faith has always been in an individual with information, with full disclosure, that they can make this decision much better with all the science, all the studies. We all know that cigarettes, tobacco, overused, probably aren't good for you. I mean, there's really nothing to debate right there. The question is, who should make this decision? Should it be you or should it be the government? And I put my faith in the individual.
And tobacco is legal, so it's not a question of it being an illegal substance. So I guess that's my point.
Well, alcohol is also a product that I'm using right now to engage in. But if I choose to go above that limit and get in my car and drive, and if I harm somebody, then there are legal ramifications that that victim can then choose to go to. And it's the same way that should be in secondhand smoking. We have laws and regulations that regulate our behavior. As much as I would want to drive down the street at 100 miles per hour and not use my turn signal and obey all those laws, should I have the right to do that? I'm an American citizen. It's my car. I pay for the roads. Should I be able to do whatever I want just because it's free market? Absolutely not. And there are rules and laws. We are a governed society. There are rules and regulations that we must abide by if we choose to live in this society. And just because it's tobacco and it's legal does not mean that there should not be regulations placed on that product.
Yes, but when you're having a drink here, you have one drink, you get in the car, you're not intoxicated, you're not impaired, you can drive. Although we have
But there's a school of thought that says even one drink is.
that was on our St. Patrick's Day.
Maryland, Maryland is you can't have one drink and drive.
Actually, in Indiana, there's no BAC set, so they can arrest you for operating while intoxicated. And I have a bright line rule. I walk to the bars that I frequent, or I take a cab.
Which you can get your public advice.
Well, but I am
Actually, not anymore under the new state law.
Well, that doesn't already be
Disturbing the peace.
or be annoying.
Be annoying.
You're
You're already.
hell, in that case, then I'm on death row.
But the thing is, the behavior that you're talking about is something in addition to the consumption of alcohol. You're talking about the operation of a motor vehicle. Consumption of alcohol, if you're just here in this building consuming alcohol, and let's say you got a cab, let's say you had 5 or 6 drinks, you were responsible and got a cab and went home, there'd be no harm to anybody in society on the streets. And my point is, if you have a building that has adequate ventilation and exhaust such that smoke is not getting out. I mean, it would be minute. My father was a sheet metal contractor. We had to do exhaust systems for rooms for computers where you couldn't have any particulates. And so you can get smoke out so that there's not going to be anybody walking by getting hit with a puff of smoke as they walk by the doorway. If such establishments are capable of being built, then why is it, philosophically, why is it not my freedom to be able to go to such a place and relax and have a drink and smoke a cigar?
Well, ventilation systems are proven ineffective at removing all particulate matter from smoke. And I would pull up the American Society of Heating and Refrigeration Engineers that have said that they cannot claim with certainty that the systems that they install will make it not harmful to be in those establishments. So we know that ventilation is an old system.
But once again, do we not in life accept a certain amount of risk? For example, is the air dirtier in here where we are, or right outside at 86 and Keystone with God knows how many vehicles driving by putting exhaust fumes? I mean, what about the person who works at the drive-thru at Burger King who I stopped by this morning? He or she is exposed to exhaust fumes, for how long the shift is because of all the cars driving through. And I guess not. This is to diminish the risk of long-term exposure to secondhand smoke, which I think is bad. The question is, is somebody coming to a bar for a couple hours once a week, being exposed to secondhand smoke, as great a danger as, say, the kid at home who lives with the smoke?
Well, and then are you going to start saying that people who smoke and have children are committing child abuse by smoking in the household where the child is?
It's never something smoke-free is that. Smoke-free is concerned about workplaces and indoor workplaces where the public is invited. We've never tried to regulate someone smoking in their own home.
Wait a minute, we're at the end of this segment. I'm sorry, you're cut on time. We'll be right back.